Hi, I'm John Stevens,
This is Matt Russell.
and this is Pod Have Mercy.
This is Pod Have Mercy.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi,
Say
y'all.
hello, everybody.
Hey.
No, hello, everybody.
Oh,
Clark, is this your house or is this the airport? Clark, say hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's coming up. Christmas is coming. And that's like one of my favorite movies. We have a tradition.
What movie is that?
It's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, my gosh.
So, our tradition at my household, of course, you have Christmas Eve as preacher and you go till late at night. So we don't have traditional Christmas Eve like most people do because I'm working,
Yeah.
right?
Right?
So
On
the
the
last however many years, I get home like 12:30 in the morning
Yeah.
after the church service.
You're catering an events for Jesus party.
And it's me and it's my daughters who now are, 23 and 20. And so the last 6, 7, 8 years, we stay up and we watch either Elf or Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story.
Elf. That's such a great
Something, one of those movies. And then we go to like 3 in the morning and then we sleep late on Christmas. That's what
Yep.
we do. That's what the preacher's family does.
Right.
Yep.
So holy. But we were holy the whole day. I was
Yeah,
like,
give me a
the whole day I was doing holy with the services and communion and the candlelight and silent night. And we get home, we just have to unwind.
Yep.
Clark, is this your house? Or is this the airport?
Hey,
Clark, you surprised to see me? If I fell on the floor and woke up with my face stapled to the carpet, I couldn't be more surprised. So see, that's what I've looked forward to. And how long has this pandemic been going? 6 months? We got another
6 years?
October, November. Yeah, 3 months from now we'll be at Christmas. Who knows what does Christmas look like this year?
I hope it doesn't look like Easter. When we thought Easter was like, what?
Well, no,
H-E-double
the
hockey
difference
sticks.
is there was no Easter. Well, there was Easter. Jesus still rose from the dead. There were no church services in Easter.
No.
There was nothing in Easter. It was all online. I think at least we'll have
Yeah.
people gathered. I've actually been trying to stay
Stay out of the media.
more. No, I've been actually trying to stay more away from Facebook because it's just, I hate to say it, it's just a cesspool.
Yeah.
Twitter, if you follow the right people, you can get some decent stuff. But I'm just going to be honest with you. If it's not just a friend posting a picture of their kids, I'm good with that. I want to know where you went on vacation. I want to see your kids' first day of school. I don't want to hear what you have to think about politics. I don't want to hear what you have to think about the current state of, because I get it. All right, if this can just be me and my friends like sharing our lives together, like I almost died marching up a mountain in Colorado, and here's a picture of me and how horrible shape I'm in, and everybody goes, hey, laugh emoji, cry emoji.
Yeah. It sucks to be you.
I'm good, but
Just
all
go.
this other stuff, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't want it. I don't want to know what you think about the news story. I don't want to know how much you think Biden's going to ruin the world or Trump's going to ruin that. I don't care. I don't want to see it. I'm going to block you. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel right now about it. It's just so divisive.
Yeah.
Or divisive. I use Facebook only to retweet Chapelwood and to post encouraging things. I made the only mistake I made on Saturday was I was watching my alma mater, Georgia Southern, play Campbell, the Fighting Camels, Division III FCS team. They've never beaten an FBS team, and my Georgia Southern Eagles, which have 30 players sitting out, was losing most of the game. We ended up winning by 1 point, and I just put something like, "Really? The Fighting Camels?"
I saw that. I was deeply offended, John.
Come
And
on,
then
dude.
what happened?
They
Everyone
won.
got triggered on your
No,
Facebook?
no.
Oh,
It's just
that's just the only time.
But some old friends from Georgia Southern from college, were weighing in.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's reconnection. That's fine. I can't. But the ranting and the raving and the resharing or reposting or sharing of these toxic fake news stories and biased stories. I don't want to see that. Don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I've
You're
only
not
made that
done with-
mistake once in the last couple of years where I posted something and I just got my I got my backside handed to me, and I'm like,
So-
never again.
so here's-
never again.
So here's something I've learned on Facebook, which is for the edification of whoever is interested in this. So the way I look at Facebook, and I put this on recently on my Facebook because I had experienced this whole perspective of people put things in the comments. The comments section of Facebook is where the devil lives. I'm totally convinced. Satan lives in the comments section. People put things on that they would never say to you to your face.
Never.
Never. And some of them are not even your friends. So if you put it on publicly. Right. So my whole thing is, look, when I post something on Facebook, that's my front porch. That's my porch. Right? You come up on my porch and you start saying this crap on my porch,
throw these
I'm
hands.
asking you to leave, which means I'm going to delete your comment. You can delete comments on Facebook. Just delete them.
Yeah.
Somebody says something you don't like, delete it. This ain't free speech.
Right.
All right, this is not New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, CNN, Fox News, and Mississippi. It's not that.
This is John.
This is my Facebook page.
Get off my lawn.
Hey, get off my
This is
lawn.
Gran Torino right here.
Hey, get off my
lawn.
I'm-
Do you feel like it's different because you're a pastor, though?
No, I think everybody should subscribe to that.
Yep.
Because if there's someone, if you post something, even if you want to be so vitriolic and partisan, that's fine. You could do you on Facebook. Do whatever you want. But here's what you need to know about Facebook. When you start posting that stuff, right, there's all these algorithms developed by the Russians, right? And you're going to start seeing on Facebook everything you agree with, that you already agree with. Right. And then you're going to start thinking, I must be right. My way is the right way. Because look, everybody agrees with me.
Have
Guess what? Nobody agrees with you. Right?
Well, those eight people do.
Some Russian troll from Ukraine is posting this stuff out there, making you feel like it's just fake
Like
stuff.
everybody
It's
in
fake.
the world
It's made
believes
up.
this. Have you seen the Saturday Night Live? If Facebook was a bar, and it just breaks out into this, it's like, somebody bumps into somebody asks somebody a question, and it just breaks out into this massive kind of fight.
So I'm just saying, this is your front porch. Right? This is your living room. This is your front porch. I say front porch because living room, you invite them into your house. You don't want to do that. But on the front porch, we're having a conversation. Right?
So if Facebook's your front porch, what's Twitter?
People are...
The gutter in front of your house?
That's the dumpster fire.
That's the dumpster fire in the back.
In the back alley. But people are walking along in your front, you have a little white picket fence, and you're sitting on the porch, and you say, hey, what do y'all think about whatever? And they go, hey, well, whatever. And they, oh, come on, you want to sit on the porch. But as soon as they say something that crosses the line, if they say something mean or disparaging or whatever you don't like, you delete it. Mm-hmm. And I had someone say to me, I can't believe, well, who then do you decide to listen to? I said, well, whoever I decide to. This is my space.
Right.
Well, you don't get to pick. I said, yeah, I do. Of course I do. I can say who can say this on my comment section and who not. This is my yard. And if you say something that I think is inappropriate or I don't like or makes me feel uncomfortable or makes me feel like I can't sleep at night or makes me feel like you'll hurt one of my friends' feelings, then delete it. After a while, you'll figure out not to post anything on my page anymore. Well, because when Facebook started out, it was puppies and kittens and kids, and it was that. Now it's turned in, it really is a dangerous space that people manipulate. And there's a lot of propaganda on both sides, in fairness.
Absolutely.
Both sides of the spectrum. But it is propaganda, and you have to understand historically how propaganda works and the power that it has to manipulate and fuel and reinforce sort of your deepest suspicions about things.
I read an Axios deal today that said that Gen Z may be less susceptible to that than other generations because they understand the ways that media is highly manipulated and manipulatable. So like all the stuff that happened up with the presidential kind of gathering in Oklahoma with K-pop and all those kind of things, that they realize that we can manipulate this and get a lot of people to believe. And so there's some sociologists think that they may be less prone to.
Facebook is going to die.
Book.
Yep. It's going to go away.
Yeah, it will.
I'm just telling you, the next generation, because right now the people who are stewarding the vision of Facebook are just allowing anything. They're very, very little policing. They're allowing lies and conspiracy theories and all these things to be perpetuated, again, on both sides of the political spectrum. And I'm just telling you, like you said, there's going to be that next generation coming up is like, my kids don't do Facebook.
I don't know anybody under 35 that does Facebook.
Can we not just have some empathy that there are brothers and sisters in this world that feel vulnerable, they feel taken advantage of, they feel attacked, they feel they're scared? If I'm a Christian, can I not have some human empathy for that?
Mm-hmm. There's the president of USC a couple years ago did a exercise in his own life where he cut off all social media. He's the president of a major university, all social media and all newspapers, and just said, what would happen if I do this for I think he did it for 6 months or a year. And he found that when people would come to him and say, hey, did you hear about, he would say, no, tell me. And so he realized that he felt as informed because and he was having much more conversations around things, right? So that this idea of having to have all firsthand information and then be able to then, kind of categorize it and then articulate it in a first person. He said there was a sense of which he felt on an island for a long time in doing it that way, and shutting all that stuff off. He said, I felt much more connected to people around me. And I realized too that I felt as informed, if not more, in having these conversations, because then I could ask questions. I could be genuinely curious. And it led to more curiosity than to me having to feel like I had to have all the information and all the answers. And I thought, I've got some friends who on the first of the year kind of go off of all social media for a year or for a month, or fast during Lent over that. And I think it's healthy.
It makes me think, though, too, during a global pandemic where you're less connected to real people and real situations, and you're in a presidential election year, so it's very hyper toxic political, right? And so social media now is being abused even more if you're not careful. I would just caution people to just post cats and
I'd like to see
videos
that. I'd like to see the
of
algorithm
screaming
of cats
goats,
go up. Screaming
goats, fainting goats,
and something
your
with
children,
children going nuts.
Your walk. Hey, I am not offended. Take more pictures of your food, right? Everybody used to say, let me see the food you're eating. All right, I used to really poo-poo that. I want to see your food. That's what I'd rather see your food than hear what you think about the presidential election.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. Your kids, your food, and your goats, your fainting goats. I will say and I know that the next 2 weeks we're talking about it here at Chapelwood. We've been talking about finding life in the desert.
Yeah.
And we talked about loneliness and boredom, and not boredom in the sense that, hey, I don't have anything to do, but like this listlessness in your spirit. It's just like the day is 50 hours long. I just can't find energy and passion in living. It was what the ancient Christians, early Christian desert fathers and mothers called the acedia. But the next 2 weeks we're talking about doubt and despair. And Viktor Frankl, who lived through the concentration camps in World War II, defined despair as meaningless suffering without meaning. And so everyone has suffered who's probably listening to this. But sometimes when we go through suffering, we're like, okay, I know it's getting me to like when you're suffering through chemotherapy to defeat your cancer, you're doing it for a purpose to be healed, to get through the other side, right? Or even spiritually, we can say, God is taking me through this desert to teach me a lesson or to get me this. That's one of the reasons why we, people of faith, try to explain things away that way. God's testing me, God's trying me, because we have to have meaning underneath the suffering. But despair comes, and I think I have found this to be close to my own experience and other people's experience, is that this pandemic is so stretched out and seems so endless, and seems like now they come out with the news that says, oh, well, everyone won't be vaccinated until the end of 2024. I don't know what that means, but that's just, I'm watching that and I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. And so you think of all the things that I'm doing without, that I'm withheld from me, what I'm suffering from. Like, what is the meaning? What is the purpose? And so we have to really find meaning in this, or else we find ourselves in a spirit of despair or place of despair.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wonder if, as I hear you talk about this too, John, and unpack this, I think despair is normal human experience. And so when you encounter it, often we think, oh, I can't feel this because, right? And I think part of it is to realize is that any pathway through suffering is going to connect us with a sense of hopelessness, right? And so that's a normal thing. And so how do we normalize that? But also, because a lot of times I think what we can do is end up shellacking a lot of Jesus over on the top of it, or we can shellac a lot of psychology on the top of it, as a way of trying to bypass something that maybe is unbypassable. And so I think that there's a normal part of despair, and that I wonder, as you and I've talked the last couple of months, the necessity of community and voices that will speak into us, that will come around us, that will be a reservoir for us in the midst of that. Because often when I've gone through my own hopelessness, I can't also provide myself hope. That hope has to be a transcendent, it has to come from the outside, has to have skin on it, it has to show up my front doorstep with a casserole. It has to take a hold of me in a way that I'm unable to in myself. Now, there's times I've gone through things too, and I think it's human too, to be able to, in some ways, kind of talk oneself out of something and get oneself to a better place. That's really true as well. I think there's other places where we can't rescue ourselves. We see Psalms kind of saying, "Rescue me, oh my God, I'm in Sheol." I'm in the depths of hell. And that's where I think we have to be a community called Remember. Remember who you are. And when you forget, I'll be a part of your memory. And I think that's important too.
In Exodus 16, I think it's Exodus 16, when the Israelites have come out of slavery in Egypt and they're wandering for 40 years. They don't know this yet. It's only 2 months into the wilderness. So I love this. It's like only 2 months in. We're 6 months into the pandemic. The Hebrews are only 2 months into the wilderness, and they're like, oh, we're out here starving. It's so hot. Oh my gosh. I remember all the good old days back in slavery, when we were around,
right?
We had all the flesh pots of meat and all the lamb chops and everything. Oh, it was so good back in slavery. Why did you bring us out here to die? We could be back there. And it was like, that's exactly what they say.
Yeah.
And, God provides quail and manna and all these things in the wilderness for them. But there's a level of us longing to go back to pre-COVID, to the days of normal, what we call normal. I've always said, if you want to go back to normal, you're regressing. Because when you want to go back to normal, when you want to go back to pre-COVID, you're wanting to go back to a lot of the slavery that we lived in. And so this is a period of time that we have to have a level of acceptance that we are journeying through a desert, and to find meaning and say, God is taking us through this desert that is not going to be short. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. But where do we find the meaning? We have to learn to find the meaning. We have to find the spaces of meaning in this. Because if we don't, then it's just useless suffering. And that's where despair comes from.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Frankel's book, Man's Search for Meaning, was one of those that I picked up, it feels like 100 years ago, that had one of those instantaneous, normalize kind of the sense that these things are going to happen. How will you hold this? How will you frame it? How will you, what relationship will you have with this kind of pain? Right. And I find that to be, super helpful as well.
I think until we are able to find meaning, until we're able to say, okay, I think it's just taken me a long time to just admit the fact that I'm in a desert and it's going to last a long time. I keep thinking it's almost over. We're going to be out of this. We're going to start back. Like even now, we're going to start back church next week. Okay, we're going to be back. No, you're not. We're not going to be back to normal. We have we normally on a Sunday have 1,200, 1,300 people that are in our 3 services in the sanctuary, and we've got registered 110 people. That's not normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to be. So if you think, okay, well, it's good, we're back at church now. I mean, every church I've pastor I talked to, I mean, they're talking about 20%, 10 to 20 to 30% return rates on people because people are not feeling safe to come back. We're going to have to just know we're in the desert. We're walking through the desert. We've got to find meaning in this place, in this space. Or if we don't, we will find ourselves just wallowing in despair. And that is not a good place to be.
Yeah, that's right. There's a Jewish psychologist and researcher of the Holocaust, a guy named Langer, that talks about the difference between common memory when you go through suffering and deep memory, and that common memory can be, in a sense, you can put your hands on it, so to speak. You can say, okay, how do I deal with this? What do I need to do in this? And then you reach out for, if you find yourself kind of reaching out for maladaptive behaviors, then you can say, this isn't helping. Who do I call? Who do I talk to? How do I remember? There's other deep memory that can kind of tap into some trauma that feels like it's a hole that we fall into that's much deeper. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good to acknowledge both of those kinds of despair and doubt that come out of that there's some common memory that we have that says, okay, this is going to end. There's some things that we can be doing that would be real helpful. Let's do those. And for some of us, that kind of common memory taps into trauma that's pretty deep for us, for some people, and it can suck them down. And so that's why I think having a community called Remember, a community of saints that say, we've got you, we're here, we're going to walk through this together, we're in the desert together, and God shows up and still gives us food. This is what happens, and we're going to travel. You're not going to be alone. The worst thing you can do in the desert is become isolated,
Yeah.
And I think then get on Facebook. I think those are the two things that I'm learning today. Isolation and Facebook, they will kill you.
It will kill you.
So we have talked about all sorts of things today, which,
all sorts of things and nothing.
And nothing. But you know what? Sometimes I think that's okay. I think
it's
sometimes in this season, maybe that's what we need. Now, next week, I'm going to be gone. But you're going to be here with Marlon.
I am. Marlon Azama will be our guest next week, and we'll talk. Hopefully we'll have on one of his friends and one of my friends, a guy named Chris. Young Chris is.
That'd be good.
And so we'll see.
And you're going to talk about this new worship service that we are developing,
Yes.
storyboarding, and excited about. And if people have been watching our services and have seen the iconoclast artists doing poetry on Sunday mornings,
Yeah.
Marlon's one of them that's done that. I'm excited to see how that's going to unfold.
I am too. It's been great being here and thinking through like worship and community and all that stuff that takes place here. And so I'm excited about being a part of that.
Well, I enjoyed it being with you.
You too, John.
I'm John Stevens.
And I'm Matt Russell.
And this is Pod Have Mercy.